Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. How y'all doing? What a difference a day makes. Oh my God. Every day, some new news. If you saw my previous video, it's about Carol Horn. She's getting hush money. And I'm very happy about that. After 15 years, she was fired from the police force a year after she stopped a fellow officer from beating up a handcuffed black man. A year later, they fired her and promoted the officer who had did that. And so, with everything that happened with George Floyd through the pandemic, um, she has been restored. Everything that was taken from her, including her back pay. And it's really something because she did have a GoFundMe page and everything, y'all. So, but anyway, she is good now. So I'm glad. That's good news. And so I was talking to another friend of mine when I got the alert that New Mexico eliminates qualified immunity. That makes 2 states. So this is from ktsm.com, and they're in El Paso, Texas. And so they're saying the elimination of qualified immunity in New Mexico seeks to redefine equity while also promoting civil rights. Okay. Opponents argue it discourages law enforcement from doing its job, which makes you wonder, what the hell do they think their job is? Do they think that their job is to kill without accountability? Especially poor people, especially black people? Come on now. Let the truth stand up in these streets, honey. Let the truth stand up in these streets, okay? Listen, it says, last week, Governor Michelle Lujan, Lujan Grisham, signed House Bill 4, which established the New Mexico Civil Rights Act that eliminated qualified immunity. Yeah. A better America for black people is a better America for everybody. Okay? If you don't know that, I don't know what to say about you except you ain't been listening to Dave Chappelle. Listen, let's go on. It says, New Mexico is the second state to remove qualified immunity. Colorado was the first state to implement an end to the practice in June 2020. Yay, Colorado! Love to all my cousins in Colorado. Okay, it says now individuals may sue the state and its actors over misconduct because the bill gives the public a right to file suit if rights, privileges, or immunities are violated. Show me the money. Showeth me the monies. Okay. Qualified immunity is no longer a defense for a public body or anyone acting on a public body's behalf, like officers working for a municipality. The bill also has a provision that entitles the plaintiff an award for attorney and litigation fees, should they prevail in the lawsuit. It's essentially saying we're going to hold everyone to a similar standard of the law. If you're a law enforcement officer, you're going to have to stick to the rules and laws of the state, and you don't get that kind of blanket leeway, said Richard Pineda, an associate professor in the Department of Communications at the University of Texas, El Paso. The New Mexico Civil Rights Act makes the state's constitution and its protection enforceable by the public. It acts as a governmental incentive to expand training, oversight, and accountability policies to mitigate abuse of authority. I think that the state of New Mexico is concerned that with qualified immunity, there's a chance that agents of the government, in particular police officers and law enforcement officials, will be overzealous in how they act and will act regardless of attempts to protect individuals' rights, says Pineda. Proponents of eliminating qualified immunity say the policy was unfair to victims who experienced civil rights violations but were unable to pursue justice. Advocates say qualified immunity was also dangerous to law enforcement because it gave the impression that officers get off easy and conflates all law enforcement. Good officers are lumped together with bad actors, says the National Police Accountability Project. I agree. So long as qualified immunity remains in place, all civil rights lawsuits are treated as frivolous, without the opportunity for a jury to decide if the injured person's rights were violated or the government actor abused their authority, says NPAP. Opponents say eliminating qualified immunity will discourage officers from doing their job fully out of their fear of litigation. Again, I think that we have to look at the job description for the police officers where they believe that their job is to murder citizens. Okay? It's very alarming. We're already hearing from HR directors around the state that they might have trouble filling police slots. Maybe they're part of the problem, that your HR people in the state. That's a problem. So you probably need to look into that. I know I would. Pierce notes, and this is Steve Pierce, chairman of the Republican Party of New Mexico. Pierce notes anti-law enforcement sentiments have been perpetuated after the deaths of people like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and more. He says the left and the Black Lives Matter movement are to blame. I think that what's to blame is officers killing black citizens. Booby. I think that's what to blame is, not BLM and who else did he say? Um, and the left. Yeah, no. I think it's officers killing citizens that is to blame. Okay? See, it's called cause and effect. They did something that caused something else to happen. Okay? If officers wasn't killing black people, then probably BLM would not be even an organization. Now, would it? And this has been going on for so long that comedians, even Richard Pryor, who has even passed away years ago, talked about how police officers treat black citizens. What is wrong with Steve Pierce? Y'all need to get him some help because he's delusional and obviously making statements not based on reality. That's very troubling. I worry about his mental health, you know. What's wrong with it? Something wrong with him. Listen, Pineda says the issues of civil rights and qualified immunity have become politicized to the extent of extreme polarization that's created in us versus them mentality. I see it as a war myself. We saw this as the immediate reaction to Black Lives Matter. Immediately, people start talking about Blue Lives Matter, that police lives matter, he says. I think people are sort of missing the boat on what BLM stands for and what their concerns are. Holla Caperneck if you hear me. Colin Caperneck if you hear me. Okay. Uh, which is proportionately across the country. Violence against African Americans at the hands of police is recorded at a much higher rate. And it is way higher. I put up the information, especially when they were doing this Asian hate or whatever, compared to black people, it's nothing. And it says ultimately the issue is one of equity that is making people uncomfortable. Okay? There's too much lying being going on. Removing this qualified immunity allows the truth to be told. It allows even good police officers to tell how they are being brutalized by these bad actors. And I'm telling you, that's happening. That's happening. Okay? It's not just African American citizens, but it's also African American officers, just like Carol Horn, who received a judgment yesterday. She stopped a white officer from brutalizing a black citizen who was handcuffed. He was beating him up, putting him in a chokehold, and she stopped him. And a year later, she was fired, where this other bad actor was promoted. That's got to stop, okay? And we are on the road to doing that, which is good. Okay, so let's go on. Opponents like Pierce, okay, it says, removing the shield of qualified immunity, law enforcement officers are subject to civilian legal standards that enable civilians to pursue litigation if a civil rights violation occurs. That Pineda says is a good idea. The philosophy and the practice, though, are two very different things. Opponents like Pierce say there were existing mechanisms in place to protect the public if the police push the limits of the law. That's BS. That's BS. Data reveals that law enforcement officers rarely face criminal charges or internal disciplinary measures after committing misconduct. In fact, in Carol Horn's case, that officer was promoted. Okay? In 2020, the National Registry of Exonerations reported that almost 40% of exoneration cases in the U.S. have involved police misconduct since 1989. They just want to be able to raise their kids, take them to school, go to church on Sunday, says Pierce. That's what the average citizen wants. But there's these radical views that the police are out killing people across the country. I really think that Pierce needs some professional help. Will somebody please help him? Okay. So that was KTSM.com, El Paso, Texas, which is a very beautiful, beautiful city. I love El Paso. They actually have purple mountains there. Love, love, love. If you get a chance to go to El Paso, please do and tell them that Coletha sent you. Listen, that is the breaking news right now. Be sure, if this is your first time to my channel, go ahead on and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I upload. I have a scheduled upload every Monday at 8, but when things like this happen, I go ahead on and do another video whenever I can, okay? So like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. I'm ColethaAlbert, coming to you from south of Seattle, Washington in Tukwila, which is Duwamish, and it's an Indian tribe. So I'm so glad to report good news. If you didn't see my Carol Horn congratulatory video. Check that out. I'm so happy for her. And a friend of mine told me today that there has been a Black CEO, a female, who has been offered a job. Let me see what he says. I want to tell you who this was. Okay. Okay. We were just talking about the state of the union this morning. ABC just put a Black woman in charge of its news division. First time for any of the major networks. So that's ABC. And if you know ABC, they're affiliated with Disney and the Jewish community. Which, honey, that says a lot. Let me tell you. I had a Jewish roommate before, and she called me the N word. And her friend was like, "Why are you friends with that N word?" And she says, "Well, at least she's pretty." That's what she said. And asked me if they were pretty. No, 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 no. So, but anyway, that shows you that change can happen, right? It's not really a huge change. We really need reparations, and that needs to happen. And the systematic oppression of Black people needs to stop. You know, why is it that immigrants can own franchises in Black communities where Black people cannot? Why is it that Black people can only rent in their own communities and not buy? And then when Black people do buy in white communities, like the lady who's over BLM, white people have something to say. Well, why don't she buy in the Black neighborhood? Boo boo kitty. Do you know how hard it is to buy in the Black community for a Black person? It's a lot of clueless people out here, y'all. Let's keep them lifted in prayer, as Gary with the T would say from the Ricky Smiley show. Let's keep them in prayer. They need some prayers going on, honey, because they are just delusional. We're going to pray that the Lord turns the light on for them so that they can see the truth and reality for what it is. Help them to get the information that they need so that they can speak from a position of intelligence and not anti-intelligence. I'm just going to say it like that. Okay. Once again, if you're new to this channel, I'm ColethaAlbert. Go ahead on and hit the subscription button and the notification bell so that you will receive a notification whenever I upload. We try to keep it positive over here, but also informative. We try to deal with reality over here. Okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.